Okay, let me tell you about this car. This is a 2012 Mustang GT Premium California Special Package. I special ordered this car brand new from the factory because I wanted it built out a certain way. I ordered it with the automatic transmission, the HID headlights, and a remote start. It came in with an MSRP of $38,960, and I have been the only owner and driver of this car since brand new. You know, when I was shopping for cars, I definitely had in my mind that I was going to do some upgrades to the car after I owned it a little bit, and decided this was the perfect platform to do it. There was a lot of stuff on YouTube, and different shops out there had plenty of aftermarket performance parts, and I decided with the right mix of aftermarket and Ford performance parts that this would be the perfect car for me, and it was. So I got the car, I drove it home, I really enjoyed it, and decided one of the first things that I wanted to do was address the ride. So I took this in steps. I did ride, I did brakes, I did traction, and then I did power. And what I want to do is basically just walk you through the process and tell you what I did. When I got the car home, I thought it was a little too quiet, but some of the mufflers out there were a little too raspy for me, and I really liked the sound of the GT 500 mufflers, so I ordered a set of those and put them on the car. And as I drove it around a little bit, I decided that the car just sat up a little bit too high in the front and in the back, but I didn't want to slam it down so low that I had ground clearance issues. So I went with a set of koni orange struts and shocks front and rear with the FRPP springs, which dropped the suspension 1 inch in the front and 1.25 inches in the back and put it at a perfect level. When I did the front struts, I also installed a set of the GT 500 upper strut mounts. They have a tougher bearing in there, and definitely were good for the extra longevity. And when I lowered the car, I installed an adjustable panhard bar, and I had to move the axle over about 1/8 of an inch to get everything back perfectly lined up under the car. And then I brought it down and had it lined up, and ever since then, which has been now about 18,000 miles, no issues. Tire wear is good, turning is good, handling is good, the suspension, the ride issues were thoroughly addressed. The next thing I looked at was brakes, and I really liked the brakes that they had on the 13 and 14 GT 500, the Brembo big brake package, and so I went with one of those. I don't know how well it's going to show up in this picture, but that's a Brembo 6-piston caliper in there with a very large front rotor, and also they had a back brake package, which also I put on here, so it's all 4 wheels changed to what came on the 2014 GT 500. Now, when I had the axles out, because you had to pull the axles to put the new brake hardware on, I also put on an aluminum fin diff cover off of the GT 500. So that's pretty much what I did with ride and brakes. And then I drove the car for a while and really, enjoyed it and put some miles on it, and decided that when it was time to start thinking about power, I really wanted to look at what I was going to do. And I really decided that the Roush TVS supercharger that they were putting on these cars was exactly what I wanted, and it actually was going to give me a little more options and a little more power than the Ford GT 500 of 2012. So it turned out to be a really good combination. But before I wanted to put power to it, I already had ride and handling, and I had done brakes and tires. And when I put the Brembos on there, I could no longer run the California Special wheels. So these are Boss Laguna Seca wheels, 19x9 with a 245 in the front and 19x10 with a 285 in the rear, and plenty of meat on there. The car hooks up great, drives well, but as I was going to go seeking more power, I really wanted to be able to put the power to the ground in a controllable way. So I went ahead and ordered a set of BMR lower control arms with the relocation bracket to compensate for lowering the back of the car, and also the upper adjustable mount so that I can make sure the pinion angle was spot on. So I went ahead and did that swap out. So I did the traction, I did the brakes, and did the ride, and then it was time to go looking for power, and that's when I went with the Roush TVS supercharger. And I was looking at either having it done at a Ford dealership or having it done by one of the aftermarket shops, and after a lot of research decided to go with Brembo out of Indiana, and made an appointment with them and had them do the install and do the dyno tune. I really wanted, you know, when you open the hood, and I'm going to do that in a second, when you look under there, to say, yeah, this is exactly how it could have and should have come from the factory. And wanted dependability, wanted to make sure there were no emission issues, didn't want any loose wires, want people that knew what they were doing to go ahead and work on my car. So I drove up there, had them do the install. When they're at it, I had them put a JLT oil separator on, so that takes the engine oil vapors and condenses them so they don't go into the intake system on the supercharger side, and I'll show a picture of that here in a minute. They also recommended that we put a 170 thermostat in it to help it run you know, at a cooler temperature, and I went ahead and did that. And this car basically has been absolutely bulletproof. It's a dream to drive. It's never seen snow, never seen salt, has rarely seen rain. It is basically a car that gets driven to cruise nights. I probably put about 1 tank of gas every month and a half into it, and it's sitting now at 18,859 miles, all put on by me. 2 long trips, one to Indiana to have the supercharger put on, and 1 trip up to New England a few years ago when I first got it. There's about 5,000 miles on the supercharger installation and the brake installation and the back tires. Now, I just want you to know there's been no abuse on this car, no John Force burnouts, no racing. Basically, you know, a car that was really well thought out, well put together, well assembled, and cared for. It's never been in an accident. There's no scratches, no dings, no dents, no cracked glass. The outside is as clean as the underneath, is as clean as under the hood, as in the trunk, as in the interior of the car. It's really a well-maintained automobile. And let's take a look on the inside. Hopefully the camera will adjust. These are leather seats that come with the premium interior, and with the California special package they have what they call a black carbon fiber kind of an insert in the seat. It's leather, but it's made to look like carbon fiber. Also on the dash, instead of the aluminum, it has a carbon fiber look in addition to that. And you can see the handle of the shifter, the radio, the gauges, and I really like that it's got the analog gauges in the car. It's got, of course, the factory alarm system, and everything works as it is intended. It's really basically a brand new car that has been all sorted out. You know, this is the way to buy one of these if you're serious about getting, you know, a Mustang. I took the hood prop off and I put on these 2 hood pistons. It just makes it a lot cleaner, you know, when you open the hood. But here's a look of the supercharger and the installation. You can see that canister right there. That's the JLT oil separator coming off the back. I had a new battery put in when I did the supercharger install. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to have any problems. It's got the 2 reservoirs, one for the intercooler and one for the radiator. I did run the closed-in air box. I wanted it to be nice and quiet and clean under here, but it does have the K&N filter attached to it. So it has the maximum performance for the way it's set up. This is the Brembo 626R kit. That's 626 horsepower, and at the back wheels on the dyno, it's 520 horsepower and 574 foot-pounds of torque. For me, that's more than enough, but they also have an upgrade, which basically you can put on. It's a smaller pulley, and it's another fuel map, and that takes it up to 650 horsepower, or you can go all the way up to 710 with pulley change and auxiliary pump, and of course the tune. Now the car does come with the SCT4 tuner, so it has the tune in there, so you wouldn't have to buy that should you decide to upgrade it, or if something ever happens and you need to reload the fuel map and the transmission map. It's all in there. The car, like I said, has the remote start, which is really nice. It won't remote start when the hood is up. You have to close it, but let me close the hood and show you how that works. Okay, now I'm going to go to the back so you can kind of hear the mufflers and get a good idea of what I was getting at with this. Okay, I'm about 4 feet from the exhaust at probably about a 75-degree angle. So you press and hold the button that's on the key here. 5 seconds. It beeps. Cycles the fuel pump, locks the doors, and then starts it up. And like I said, it's got about 5,000 miles on the build. Everything right now is as it should be. It's actually set up exactly as intended. It's all debugged, not that there was any issues, because all quality parts and tuning went into it on the front end. No John Force burnouts, no hard driving. This was really built as overbuilt as a cruise night car. It really is a beautiful car. The paint is super glossy. What more can I say? It just is a really fun, tight car to drive. And basically, when you unlock the door and open the door, it shuts off as a security measure. You have to put the key in to be able to put it in gear and go. So let me open the door, and you can see it shuts off. And then you come in, fire it back up. And here's a look inside the car. Look at the gauge package. Now you can put any color you want on the gauges. They're white during the day, and I have them set up to go blue at night, as the buttons that light up on the inside with the premium package, and the sill plates. It's got the I think it's the Shaker 500 stereo.
No way they're going to be able to replenish it.
It's got the Sirius satellite. Like I said, it's really a well thought out, well put together car. I'm not sure what else I can say about the car other than, it's 2012 Premium GT California Special with a bunch of goodies on it. Hope you like it. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for looking. Bye.